This might seem like a strange comparison at first, but stick with me throughout this video and I think everything will make a bit more sense than the title might suggest, even though I'm not really sure what the title for this video is going to be. But let's start off with this guitar. It has been documented on my channel before. I got this guitar in December of 2021 on a sale while this guitar was going out of production. And I didn't really click with it right away because the neck could be a bit boomy and the bridge could be a bit bright. And I actually made a video about it in March of 2022 asking you whether I should keep or sell the guitar. And I actually sold it back then through Reverb to someone in Sweden. But DHL decided to throw with the case. The neck heel came a bit loose. You don't see that anymore because I had it repaired, of course, but it was so minor that you don't see anything of it. The only thing that you can see are two small cracks in the horns, which I actually don't notice when I'm playing. But the strange thing was when the guitar came back, I went through a whole different process, which is separate of the process I went through with DHL. I also got a video on that because, of course, I wanted them to compensate me for the damage. And obviously the buyer didn't want the guitar anymore. So I decided why not try something different with this guitar and put it in open tuning and use it for slide. I started out playing in open tuning and with slide with a GHL ASAT, which is kind of a Telecaster with some different sorts of pickups. But with that guitar, the neck was a bit too woolly and the bridge was also a bit too bright, like I mentioned with this guitar. But the problem was you only have one tone and one volume control. And that isn't really easy when you're playing slide if you have to switch in between a chorus and a bridge or a verse. So that really didn't work. But other than that, the guitar was playing nicely in slide. And I also had a Gibson Les Paul Tribute Junior double cut for a while, which I used in open tuning, but I had a lot of tuning issues with that. And because a lot of players use an SG with slide playing and open tuning, like for instance Derek Trucks or Dwayne Allman used to do that for a while too, I thought why not try it with this guitar. You have the double cuts, you can reach everything pretty easily. The neck sticks out a bit more, so it made sense. It was an extra guitar at that point because I had already sold it. I didn't have any plans for it. So once I had it repaired, I thought, let's put it in open tuning and see if that works. The guitar is set up in open D flat. And one of the reasons for that is because I play a half step down in standard tuning with all my guitars. And I think I've done so for the last 10 years. And that's because I also sing, and as you might have noticed, I've got a pretty deep voice. Tuning my guitars half a step lower makes it a bit easier for me to sing in certain keys. That might just be something psychological, but I've been doing that for the past 10 years and it works for me. So when I wanted to switch to open D tuning, it also had to go one half step lower. As you can see, I've put a different bridge on it because with the original wraparound bridge, it was nearly impossible to get it to intonate properly. And even with this bridge, it's still very hard to get it right. And that's something that I've noticed at live shows, but also while recording. I've recorded some parts with this guitar in this tuning with slide and also without slide. And you might have noticed most often it's not really in tune, at least not the way I would want to. And it's even so bad that when I recorded with this guitar more recently, I have to tune it by ear for different parts of the song. So for instance, when I'm playing the verse, I'm playing a different part and I wanted to intonate for that part properly. And I do that by ear, but when I start playing the chorus, it doesn't intonate with that part, so I have to tune it by ear again. And if you're in the studio, you can do that, even though that's a bit annoying. But if you're playing live, it gets really difficult. And that made me decide I want to switch to something else. So like I mentioned earlier, when I started playing in open tuning and with slide guitar, I used a G&L A-Set Classic or Tribute, I'm not sure which one is which, but it's the one that's made in Indonesia and looks like a Telecaster. And like I mentioned also, the problem was the wiring scheme and the controls that I had. It didn't really work for the kind of playing I'm doing with this. And it's easier with the SG. I think some of the tuning issues with the SG come from the fact that it has a short scale length and a wraparound bridge, because I tried the same thing like I mentioned before with my Gibson Les Paul Jr. Tribute Double Cut, if that's the right name once again, and that also didn't really work. So I thought the best way to solve this problem was to switch back to a Telecaster. But the usual Telecaster sound is not really what I'm looking for this tuning, and like I mentioned before, the wiring scheme and the control layout doesn't work for me. But there is a solution, even though it might seem a bit weird in comparison with the SG. And that's a Telecaster Custom. Obviously it has the Les Paul layout with all the knobs and buttons and stuff, and because I mainly play a Les Paul, that should work for me. You might wonder why I didn't go for the Deluxe that has two wide range humbuckers. I actually really like the sounds of a Telecaster bridge pickup, and it gives a bit more clarity, so this seemed like a better choice for me. And I've been trying this for the past couple of weeks. I had this guitar for almost 2 weeks now, and there are some differences. Even though it plays really nice, there are a few things about the sound that don't really work for me yet. First of all, I think the bridge pickup lacks a bit of character. But I recently sold my Esquire, And on my Esquire I had these ABM brass saddles with compensation, and I really liked how they felt and how they sounded, so they are going to go in this guitar. And also in that Esquire I put a Seymour Duncan broadcaster pickup. I think this is the STL-1B, which I also really liked, which is also going to go in this guitar. Now, I was in doubt whether I should change the Vintera wide range humbucker, which is essentially just a revoiced humbucker, to an original Cuneife humbucker that Fender is making now, or maybe a Lolo Regal. But I think I will switch the parts first. So besides changing the saddles and the bridge pickup, I will also change out the entire wiring harness. So we'll have 500K parts for the volume and tone of the neck humbucker, and it will have 50s wiring because that's what I like to work with. And of course it has to be set up in open D flat. And then we will see how this will work out. So my first impressions in this comparison, yeah, I have to say the SG just plays really nice. I've been comparing them in open D tuning. So because this guitar has thinner strings from the factory, it hasn't been set up yet, and I haven't changed anything to it because I wanted to have the availability to send it back within the return window. And in open D tuning, this guitar stays in tune a bit better. I really like the character of the P90 pickups. They have a clarity but also a grit to them, and they are a bit more mid-forward, something that this guitar doesn't have. And yeah, I have to say it also plays really nice, but this guitar has some sort of airy quality and it is a bit more flexible. And I think especially with the different bridge pickup, with the different saddles and with the different wiring harness, this guitar can be even more flexible, because this guitar has one sweet spot where I have it set with all the controls, and if I move on besides that, it doesn't really work. So I think and I hope the upgrades on this guitar can give me a lot more versatility and most of all tuning stability, because as far as I know, that's something that Telecasters are known for, and in my experience with my other Telecaster, I can play an entire show and the guitar will be in tune at the end of it. And with this guitar I can play half a song and the guitar will already be out of tune. And yeah, if you're only halfway through the song, that's kind of annoying because I don't have a lot of time to tune during playing a song. So yeah, let's see how this works out. So I brought the guitar to my luthier a week ago once the wiring harness came in the mail, and I got it back today, and it's already a huge difference unplugged. And it's not just the strings, I've got Ernie Ball 11s on here because that's what works best for me in that tuning and also with slide. But you can also feel and hear the difference in the saddles. And of course I had these saddles on my Esquire before, so I know how they feel and how they sound and how much difference they make. And I'm happy they're on here now because it's a lot better with that already. But once you plug it in, there are also some big differences to last time I played and you heard this guitar. To start off with the 500K pots that I've got in here for the neck humbucker now and that wiring harness. And it's a huge difference compared to when I last played this guitar. I mean, I can hear the difference, I can feel the difference, and I'm sure you can hear the difference too. And the wiring harness, everything with the pots just works a bit better. It's a bit more responsive to the controls, and of course the Seymour Duncan broadcaster pickup that I've got in the bridge now. That's something that also was already in my Esquire and I really liked, so I'm glad it's in here, and I think it really works well with the neck humbucker. And yeah, I'm really happy about this. I'm really happy about this choice. I thought the guitar played very good before I brought it away, and I thought it sounded pretty okay. Now that it's set up by my luthier, I think it plays great and it sounds great. And yeah, I'm not looking back. Maybe the t-shirts in this video were a giveaway, but this one is staying and the SG is going. I actually already sold it to one of my subscribers, and if you're watching this, you're buying a great guitar. It's a really good guitar, but when you're playing in a band, you need the right tool for the right job, and the SG wasn't the right tool to play in open D. But if you're going to do anything besides that, you're going to be happy with that guitar. And I think this will work better for me in the open C sharp tuning. It was a long video, it was a long ride. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I hope you're still feeling well. But I do, and I'm going to play some more guitar. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.